So let me just start here by saying this. Last night, well, let me say this. All week I've had a message prepared for what we would cover this morning. And no surprise to me, of course, God came back door again 11 p.m. last night and totally changed the entire message. And what was uncomfortable to me was the fact that all he really gave me was one little passage to go by. I opened up my phone to try to take a bunch of notes, and he convicted me and stopped me and basically told me to trust him and move forward. What I'm going to share this morning is what God downloaded in my spirit. This is not coming from notes. This is not coming from hard study time this week. This is coming from my spirit speaking into your spirit. This is coming from what God downloaded into my spirit and what I'm wishing this morning to upload into yours. This is coming from a place of a right now word that I know that we need right now. And I'm gonna try to get this out to the best of my ability this morning. But this morning, this word may not necessarily be for everybody. But I believe that who this word is for, you'll have ears open to be able to receive it. Because this what I'm going to speak, and it's not going to be long at all. I might take about 10-15 minutes. It depends how long it takes to get this out, but I don't plan on this message being long at all. As you can see, we have communion this morning, but I do need to get some stuff out that I believe he downloaded me in this morning. This morning, this message is going to be for somebody who you either foresee the challenges, experiencing the challenges, or you see the challenges that are coming, and God has sent me this morning to be able to speak encouragement to you before it even happens. All right. God has sent me this morning to be able to speak life into you this morning before you experience the remnants of death, before you experience things that look like something is dying. God has put something in me this morning to speak into you, to tell you to move forward. In spite of what it looks like, in spite of how you feel, whatever God put on the inside of you, now is the time that he is ready to birth that thing out of you. Regardless of how you feel, regardless of your feelings, regardless of your emotions, regardless of what it looks like on the outside, regardless of what your finances look like, this is not determined by or dependent upon what the situation looks like or your resources. It does not matter. What God is saying in this moment is move forward. Let me show it to you, at least what he showed me last night, and hopefully this I can bring this out. In Exodus chapter 14, if you have your Bibles or your phones, if you could turn there really quick, because I just need to pull something out of here really fast, but I want you to see it. I don't want you to just hear it, but I want you to see it. So maybe later on this week, you can come back to this. In Exodus chapter 14, let me just go ahead and get started while you're turning there. But it says in 14 verse 1, it says, "Now the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the children of Israel." What did he say to do to the children of Israel? He said to speak to the children of Israel that they turn and camp before Phi, and that word. And then they go on and on and on and on. And then he says in verse 4, then is a transition word. It basically means I've told you to speak, and after you speak, this is what's going to happen. Then I will harden Pharaoh's heart, so that he will pursue them, and I will gain honor over Pharaoh and over all his army of the Egyptians may know that I am the Lord, and that they did so. Now it was told the king of Egypt that the people had fled. Let's skip down to verse 9. So the Egyptians pursued them, all the horses, the chariots, and Pharaoh and his horsemen and the army, and overtook them camping by the sea beside Phi, whatever that word is. It's interesting to me here that in the first verse it says, "Now the Lord spoke to Moses." Second verse, "Speak to the children of Israel that they turn and camp before," whatever that word is. Right? But then we skip down, and I'm just now seeing this. This is not something that he revealed to me last night. This is something that he just showed me just now. In verse 9, so the Egyptians pursued them, all the horses of chariots of Pharaoh, his horsemen and his army, and overtook them camping by the sea beside. Isn't it interesting to me that God spoke to him and said, speak to the children of Israel, turn and go to the camp of Phai. That's where God spoke to them and told them to go. And then it's interesting, a few verses later, he said, and then I will harden Pharaoh's heart. Doesn't make sense to me that God would speak to me to do something, and then God would set up people that would be contrary to what I'm trying to do. That he would set up naysayers to speak against what he spoke to me and go out and do. That he would set up opposition against my opportunity and the doors that he's opened. It doesn't make sense to me that if this is what you spoke to me, that opposition will be there to meet me at the very first turn. Right? Not only that, but the very place that he told them to go, he said, now I need you to turn and go to Phai. Right? The very place he told them to go, then after he hardened Pharaoh's heart, that's the very place where God sent the opposition. Y'all hear me this morning? He sent the opposition to the very place that he told Moses to go. God, it doesn't make sense that it seems like you would almost set up a trap for me in the place that you told me to go. God, it doesn't make sense. I finally made up my mind that I'm going to do this thing. I finally made up my mind that I'm going to go forward. I finally made up my mind that I'm going to push this spiritual baby out. And then when I decide to do it, somehow, somewhere, you always set up some type of opposition. It seems like there's something to trip me up. It seems like it's something to make me fall. It seems like my family doesn't understand. You're the closest people to me. You should understand this thing that God put in me. You would think that your best friend would understand what you've begun. You would think that because they've seen your progress, that they would be with you, that they'd be supporting you, that they wouldn't be jealous of your growth. You would think that because this is something that God spoke to me and told me to do, that this thing would be easy. Because he told him, hey, I'll be with you. Take courage. Go in strength because I've given you the land. He even says in a further verse, he says, I'll fight for you. All I need you to do is hold your peace. But guess what? He still says, go forward. This is what it says when we skip down. In verse 13, and Moses said to the people, and this is what I'm saying to you this morning, do not be afraid. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will accomplish for you today. For the Egyptians who you see today, you shall see again no more forever. This is the verse right here in verse 14. It says, the Lord will fight for you, and you shall hold your peace. And the Lord said to Moses, why do you cry to me? Tell the children of Israel, what does it say right there? Go forward. Somebody say, go forward. Go forward. Somebody say, go forward. Go forward. He even says, I'll fight for you, but he still tells them to go forward. God, you've spoken to me. God, you've given me a dream. God, you've given me a vision. God, you've given me a prophetic word. God, there's something that you've revealed. You've opened my eyes to see something that you want me to do. And now you're telling me that you'll fight for me, and all you need me to do is hold my peace. All you need me to do is stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. But even in that, sometimes we get caught up in, okay, God's going to fight my battle. Right? God's going to do it for me. This is what he showed me, so God's going to accomplish me. God's going to accomplish it. So all I have to do is just sit back and let God do it. All I got to do is sit back, kick my feet up. But this is what he says. This is what he says in 15. And the Lord said to Moses, why do you cry to me? In verse 2, what did he say? He said, speak to the children. He said, so exactly. What are you coming to me for, asking me to do this thing when I've already put the words in your mouth to speak to it? Why are you coming to me? God, I need you to move this mountain. God, I need you to heal my body. God, I need you to strengthen me. God, I need you to reveal, when I've already put it in your mouth. You have power in your mouth to release what it is that you're expecting, to release what it is that you're believing for. In verse 2, he says, I need you to speak to the children of Israel. After he spoke, then the opposition came, and then they started to complain. I didn't read to you this part so you don't understand why Moses is crying to God. This is what it says. In verse 9, so the Egyptians pursued them. All the horses, chariots of Pharaoh, his horsemen and his army overtook them camping by the Sea of Phai before Baal Zephon. And when Pharaoh drew near, the children of Israel lifted their eyes, and behold, the Egyptians marched after them. So they were very afraid. Somebody say very afraid. Very afraid. They were very afraid, and the children of Israel cried out to the Lord. Interesting. God speaks to Moses. God speaks to Moses, and he says, I need you to speak to the children. Opposition came, and then the children begin to cry out to God. It's interesting to me because not in this verse anywhere does it say that Moses actually spoke to the children. Not until later we get down in the verse where it says, and the Lord said to Moses, why do you cry to me? Tell the children to go forward. So it's almost like God is telling him again, let me repeat my instructions that I told you the first time. And the reason that they're not listening, y'all hear me when I say this, the reason your situation is not listening to your voice is because you've not said anything yet. You've not told that thing what to do. You've not told that mountain to move. You've not even identified that thing and given it a name. I speak to depression and I tell it to get out the way. You don't belong here. I speak to stress and I say that you can no longer apply pressure to that area in my life. I speak to disease. I speak to dis-ease and discomfort in my life, and I tell you to get out. You don't belong here. And the reason that your situation is complaining, right? The reason that your situation keeps on squeezing you, the reason that your situation keeps on knocking at the door is because you've not spoken to that thing. God spoke to Moses. He said, I need you to speak to the children of Israel and tell them where to go. Further down, they start complaining. And then in verse 13, and Moses said to the people, do not be afraid. Stand still. He finally speaks. And see the salvation of the Lord, which will accomplish for you today. For the Egyptians who you see today, you shall see again no more forever. For the problem that you see today, this will be the last time that you see it. For the stress that you experience today will be the last time that you see it. For the situation that bogged you down, for the thing that intimidated you yesterday, that'll be the last day that you'll see it. Because today you have learned, I need to put my mouth on it. I need to put my mouth on it. I need to put my words on it. Let me give you a piece of my thought. Let me give you a piece of let me give you what God put on the inside of me. Because God is waiting. I told y'all this either last week or a few weeks ago. God is not listening out for you to just replicate or you to just reproduce or you to just say what you heard somebody else say. I need something to come from your spirit. Because if there's no conviction coming out of you, then I can't respond to it. I need to hear my voice in your voice. I don't want to hear Pastor Ty's voice. That's his conviction. I need to hear what I spoke to you come out of you. Because in the spirit, I hope y'all catch this. Because in the spirit, God is speaking to us. God gives us instruction. God gives us direction. He's even given us sometimes even direct words that we need to speak to people, a situation, or maybe even laying hands over ourselves. And so what he speaks in the spirit, he's looking for in the natural. What he speaks in the spirit, he's looking for in the natural. And so in the spirit, if he says, speak to your body and say, disease be gone, then when you say it in the natural, he says, oh, I hear my voice in the earth. I hear my voice in the natural. That's what I said, so I have to accomplish exactly what I spoke. The Bible says that no word that he speaks will fall to the ground, but it will accomplish everything that it is set out to do, and it won't return back to him void, which means that it won't come back without power. The only way that it's going to come back to him is with power. The only way that his words will come back to him is through us, out of our mouths, and once we speak it, then power is released. I'm trying to tell y'all this morning, go forward. Somebody say go forward. Verse 15, and the Lord said to Moses, why do you cry to me? Tell the children of Israel to go forward. 16, but lift up your rod and stretch it out over the sea. Divide it, and the children of Israel shall go on dry ground through the midst of the sea. And I'll say it again because I said this in another message. What has God put in your hand? Because you've been sitting back and maybe you've been the person saying, all right, I've been speaking it. I've been saying it. I've been laying hands on my own body. I've been laying hands on other people's body. I've been speaking words of affirmation. I've been making my confessions. I've been making my declarations. And I'm still, for some reason, what has God put in your hand? Because for some of us, God is waiting for us to do something. God is waiting for us to do something. All right, your faith is good. All right, you stepping out a little bit is good, but there's something that I put in your hand that I'm ready to use right now in this season of your life. No, I'm not looking for the last season of what I did. No, I'm not looking for the last big miracle. No, I'm not looking for the last big accomplishment. That was in the past, but the promise is ahead. And in order to get past your past to the promise, you're going to have to use what God put in your hand right now. In this season, what has God put in your hand? And for some of us, it may not be something physical. It may not be the gift of song. It may not be the gift of dance. It might be corporate America. For some of us, it might be a word maybe that God has spoken to us and said, in this season, I need you to walk in forgiveness. That's what he put in your hand. What has God showed you? What has he revealed to you? What has God given you that he's saying, right now, I need you to use this thing because this is what my power is operating through right now. There's nothing supernatural or significant about his rod in particular. It's a stick. There's nothing special about this stick. But this is the thing that God has chosen to pour out his power through. And so what he's saying is, what have I put in your hand? Because you're looking at this thing naturally. You're saying, okay, God, well, it's just a gift, or God, is just encouragement. I don't think it's that. It's a gift. It's a gift. It's a gift of encouragement. It's a gift to have a word of knowledge, being able to speak into people in due season. And the word of God says, how sweet is it, a word spoken in due season, just as honey. That's what it says. What has God put in your hand, right? Don't belittle the gift. Don't. Wow, this is powerful. Something just came to me, and I think I need to show you this. Something just came to me. Let me find it, because I think this is going to be good. I said, don't water down your gifts, because it might be something strong. Oh, yes. Exodus 14:21. Exodus 14:21. This is what it says. Then Moses stretched out his hand over the sea. He did what God told him to do. Don't look. Y'all look up at me. Don't read forward. Don't read forward. Moses stretched his hand over the sea. He stretched his hand over the sea. He said, okay, God, I'm going to do what you told me to do. I'm expecting something supernatural, right? Something natural that God has put his super on. I'm expecting something supernatural because I'm going to move forward in what you spoke to me to do. I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but all I know is that I'm expecting something supernatural. I'm expecting a miracle. I'm expecting some type of supernatural intervention as a result of me moving forward and doing what you told me to do with what you put in my hand to do. It says that Moses took his rod, stretched out his rod over the sea, and the Lord caused the sea to go back by, what does your Bible say? Ooh, this is interesting. I'm going to break this down. It says that Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and the Lord caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind all that night, and made the sea into dry land, and the waters divided. Y'all, he was expecting something supernatural. But what does it say divided the water? Ooh, y'all, this is heavy. This is heavy, and I hope y'all get this. It said that a strong east wind divided the water. Because you were expecting something supernatural, you totally missed it. Because you've been looking, okay, God, I'm looking for this big thing. I'm looking for this miracle. I'm expecting you to do something crazy in my life. And until you do the supernatural, I can't really believe that you're operating in my life. And he's saying, hey, but I'm bringing it through a wind. But you're looking at the wind and you're thinking, okay, that's natural. A wind can do that. All right, a wind can push water. A wind can make the waves. All right, a wind can do that. And so I can't quite believe that, God. I'm looking for the supernatural. Okay, God, I'm believing you to heal my body, or I'm believing you for a family member. I'm believing for you to heal their body, right? But it's not just enough for you for their life to be sustained, right? Right? We have a family member who was diagnosed with AIDS, correct? He was diagnosed with HIV, right? Lost his hair, went through all the treatment, went in the hospital to pray. I'm sorry? HIV, but cancer. And I don't remember exactly what stage. But we went to pray for them. And naturally you would think, okay, God, I'm expecting a miracle. I'm expecting something supernatural. I'm expecting to go into this hospital room, lay hands, and see them pop up. I'm expecting that once I lay hands on them, they're going to jump up and the doctor's going to say, hey, we don't see any trace of this thing. We saw it last week, but now we don't see any of it. But we don't see, we sometimes see the natural thing, but don't see it as the miracle. Because what ended up happening was, how many years ago was this? It was some years ago. Right? And he's still alive, right? But we don't see that as a miracle because we want to say, oh, you don't see any cancer. Oh, you don't see any AIDS. Oh, I don't see traces of it. But God might say, okay, it's still there, but I'm sustaining your life in it. I'm keeping that thorn in your flesh to remind you of my supernatural power. There's some things that I have to leave because if I took it away, then you wouldn't be dependent on me anymore. Then you would think that you did it. If I did this big shebang, then you'd be like, oh yeah, every time I lift my rod, then boom, it happens. But God is like, no, I want to do it. I want to do it. So this time I might send an east wind. Next time I might send a west wind. The next time there might not be any wind when you cross over on dry land, right? He wants to do it his way. And sometimes we're looking for the big bang. And God is like, but I'm doing it in your daily routine. I'm doing it in your everyday habits. That's why I've been challenging y'all to go after it. Whether it's a small step, whether it's a big step, it does not matter. Do the small thing in your daily routines because God will use that natural thing and add his super. But if you're not willing to do the natural thing, then he can't add his super to it. And because as long as you're looking solely for the miracle, this is what a miracle is. In the Greek, it's translated as supernatural intervention. Supernatural intervention. It means that God is intervening. It means that in order to intervene, you have to be doing something, right? You have to be moving and progressing. Now, you might be going in a negative way. You might be going in a positive way. The intervention doesn't always mean that you're doing bad. The intervention might just be, hey, you're doing so well that you're getting ahead of yourself. You're getting ahead of me. And now I need you to slow down a little bit because you're starting to think that it's you. You're starting to think that the progress and that the success that's happening is as a result of the energy and the work that you put into it. Now I need you to pull back. It's a supernatural intervention. It's God jumping in after you've started doing something, right? And so I believe that today he's telling us to go forward. I'm speaking to that dream on the inside of you. I'm speaking to that vision. I'm speaking to that prophetic word that maybe was spoken over you years ago that you've not seen come to pass yet. I'm speaking to that giant on the inside of you that's been trying to speak to that little kid on the inside of you and say, come up. I'm speaking to that side of you that has reservations about what happens if. God, what are you going to do next? God, what's the next instruction? I'm speaking past your natural thoughts and mind to your spirit to say, come up, to say go forward, to say move out, to say set your hands to the plow and don't look back. Don't worry about how this thing is going to play out. Don't worry about what people are going to say about it. Don't worry about, let the chips fall where they may. I think I said this last week, but I know what it feels like to fail. I know what it feels like to lose. I know what it feels like to miss the mark. I know what it feels like not to do the right thing. I know what that feels like already. What I want to know what it feels like is success. I want to know what it feels like to get past the opposition. I want to know what it feels like to fail 5 times, but then finally hit the mark. Right? I know what it feels like to lose. All right. I don't want that feeling anymore. I want to know what it feels like on the other side. Right? I want to know what the promised land looks like. And I don't want to just see it from a distance and God say, okay, now you got to stop here. No, I want to go there. I want to see what I prayed for. I want to see manifestation of what I've been pushing away my plate for. I want to see come out of me everything that God put on the inside of me. And I won't be content until I see this thing come to pass. And I'm not going to stop until I see manifestation outwardly of what I know God has produced already on the inside of me. It's just like a manufacturing company. They produced a product already on the inside that they've not yet released publicly. There's something that God is doing on the inside of you. And that for you, you're just like this manufacturing company. You're just like, God, God, I know what you put on the inside of me, but for some reason these machines aren't working the right way. For some reason I'm not able to produce it. I'm ready to release it, God, but I see what you're doing on the inside of me, but it's not yet been pushed out publicly. And I believe that God is saying today, go forward. That go forward may not be your public reveal. That go forward might just be you making that small step just to say, okay, today I'm going to write it out. Right? All right. Today I'm just making up my mind just to do it. I'm not at a place where I can write out the plan for it, but today I'm just making a conscious decision to say, okay, God, you got me. What do you want to do? Have your way with me. Because that's the first thing, right? Whatever that small step, even if it's a big step, it doesn't matter. But whatever that step is, just making that decision to say, man, you know what, God, all of these machines are down. If I got to produce this thing by hand, if I got to put my blood, sweat, and tears to this thing, if I got to stay up late, if I got to wake up early, I'm going to see this thing happen. And I'm no longer content with just sitting on the sidelines, watching other people prosper and succeed, knowing that you put something on the inside of me. Because you know what's going to happen? Let me say this the right way. You'll be spiritually constipated. You'll be spiritually backed up. You'll be spiritually frustrated, right? Because you'll be wondering, all right, God, I feel this knot in my stomach. I feel like I'm supposed to be doing more. I feel like everything that I'm doing is just not enough. I feel like I'm wearing myself out to no avail. I feel like I am pushing, but I don't see the product or the reward of my work, right? And what I believe that God is speaking to us this morning is I just need you to release it. Guess what? When you've been constipated and that thing finally come out, it don't come out pretty either. It don't come out nice either. And some of y'all are trying to keep this thing real polished. Well, God, I'm not ready to pull it out. I just want that thing to be polished, and I want it to be nice, and I want it to look good, and I don't want to put out anything premature because, I'm all about perfection, and I'm all about a spirit of excellence. And don't let that spirit of excellence be the thing that vexes the Spirit of God. Don't let perfection be the thing that keeps you from putting out what you know that God has put on the inside of you. I get it. I understand. We want things to look good. We want things to be on a certain level, but not to the point where it holds up God. God is trying to pull something out of you right now, and don't limit yourself. Do not limit yourself. Do not put a cap on yourself by what you think it's supposed to look like when that thing comes out. Because I can promise you one thing, and I can probably guarantee you at least two, that when God pulls this baby out of you, it's not going to look like what you thought it was going to look like. It's going to be even better. It's going to be even bigger. You were planning for a 6.5 pound baby. That thing might come out 11.5, right? You know what I'm saying? It's going to be bigger than what you, it's going to be bigger than what you imagined, right? And it always is. Last week we talked exceeding abundantly above all you could think, according to the power that works on the inside of you. I don't know about y'all, but power is shooting off all on the inside of me right now. And if it's according to the power that I'm going to put out, and you telling me that you can do better, you can do greater, you can go further than what I'm able to produce in my own power, y'all ain't seen nothing. Y'all ain't seen nothing. And that's why I'm not discouraged by what my natural eyes see. That's why I'm not discouraged by what I may feel on any given day. That's why I'm not set back by what people might say, because I know what he put on the inside of me. Y'all ain't, man. I wish I could get this out the way that I see it and I hear it. But y'all have no idea. And some of you might. I'm not just talking about me. I'm not just talking about this ministry. I'm talking about you. Like I said, this message may not be for everybody this morning, but for the people it's for, this thing is going to hit your spirit. You have no idea what God is trying to produce in your life. You have no idea, because for so long you've been diluting the power and the potential of God with your natural thoughts. You've been adding water to Coke, right? All right, yeah, I can't handle that. That's a little bit too tough. That's a little bit too hard. God, I can't handle what you're going to do. And you water that thing down to the point where you say, All right, yeah, God, I could do this. No. I don't need you to dilute the potency and the power of what I'm trying to do in your life. I need it just like I gave it to you. And just like when I revealed it to you, the way that it scared you, the way it made you nervous, the way you felt this knot in your stomach, like, okay, God, that's really what you want to do? Okay, that's the way that it's going to shock people when you release it. But in a way where it's going to shock, it almost, what I see is almost a, what's it called? A defibrillator, right? And how it shocks the heart, right? It's almost like a gut check to the heart. Boom, I need you to come back. You know what I'm saying? And that's what your gift is going to do once you release it. It's going to shock people. You've been seeing people walk around you just dead, just shells of people. And it vexes you to see people not living up to their potential. But the reason that God has opened your eyes and revealed to you people around you that have been vexing you is because he's put this power on the inside of you. He's put it on the inside of you to shock them. But some of us have allowed those very same people instead to frustrate us, to get on our nerves, to wear us out. I can't believe them. Why would they do that? Why they say that about me? Why they treating me like this? Why? Oh, I can't believe they said that about my family. No, I'm going to say something because they need to know. The very people that are vexing you the most, that are getting on that last nerve, that know how to push the right buttons to get to you, those are the very people that God wants to pour out his power through. And when they see it, when they experience it, their mouths will be shut, just like the lions. Their mouths will be shut, but they'll experience the power of God, so much so that they won't have anything to say except respect. Right. Got no words. I can't say nothing. What can they say? What can they say when they've talked about you, spoken ill will about you? Maybe not to your face. Maybe not to your face. They can hide behind computers. They can hide behind text messaging. They can hide behind people that they gossip to. But what can they say when they begin to see the power of God flowing out of you, and everything you touch prospers, and everything that you set your hands to turns to gold, and everybody that you pray for, you see manifestation? You'll begin to see those same people that talked about you come back door and say, hey, Miss Marjorie, I know what I said. And matter of fact, I didn't tell you, but I used to hate you. I didn't like how you used to move and how you used to walk around and how you used to sing. But you know, I just need to apologize. I'm dealing with some stuff right now. I just need you to lay some hands on me. You know, you'll see those people come back because they'll recognize the power on your life. But right now they don't respect it because they don't see it. Right now they don't acknowledge it because you've not seen manifestation yet. But once you start to tap into that power, once you start to tap in that power, you'll see consistency. You won't just see spurts. They see it too. They see it too, but you're seeing the spurts and you're like, all right, God, that's it. How was functioning last week? That's what I've been seeing. God is like, I want to do that on a regular basis, but I need you to tap into the power that I put on the inside of you. That's what God has given me this morning. And so I promise. I went a little bit longer than I initially wanted to go, but I got out what he put in me. And I always make a promise to God. I'll speak what you tell me, nothing more, nothing less. And so when I finished that last sentence, I was like, nope, that's it. That's it. I know it was kind of cold turkey. I normally figure out better transitions to transition out of the message, but once he stopped, when that oil stopped flowing, cut it off. That's a teachable moment too. Nothing more, nothing less.